The devs said that they wanted to take some time to get the Airborne update right, so it was eventually delayed to next year. Finally, introducing aircraft to a game like Foxhole is probably very complicated. And over the last year, the devs have been slowly giving us more information. So I animated how those new planes and airfields might play out. I may have gone a little overboard. Last August, they showed us some concept art. But note that everything here is subject to change. First, the Colonial dive bomber, a little reminiscent of the Lockheed P-38 Lightning from World War II. I guess having an external radial engine is going to be the aesthetic of Colonial aircraft moving forward. The concept art showed details like the air brake, armament for the rear gunner, and what appeared to be a bomb sight in front. It's shown to be carrying a single piece of ordnance to be catapulted to the ground below. I wonder if armament will affect speed and fuel usage, maybe forcing pilots to ditch their payloads to escape enemy fighters. And notably, the landing gear was interesting enough to tip off that this plane was all but confirmed to be in the update. Meanwhile, the Wardens, of course, got a seaplane. The Wardens rule the waves. It seems to come equipped with landing gear that doubles as flotation pontoons for seaborne operations. There's also a second seat, probably for a spotter carrying binoculars, though I'd like to take note of what appears to be ballast behind it. It'd be hilarious to drop sandbags on the enemy or fire at other planes with a pistol. Although the plane is a reconnaissance aircraft, from the images shown, I'm not sure if it has any anti-submarine warfare capabilities. There aren't any signs of any droppable sonobuoys or even a magnetic anomaly detector. Although, there is this strange barrel next to the pilot. It's got a wide breech and what might be a much thinner barrel. Is it a machine gun? Does it fire flares? If anyone has any ideas, please feel free to leave a comment because I'm stumped. But regardless, I'm really excited to see seaplanes in the game. Because while we probably won't get any aircraft carriers anytime soon, seaplanes can be a close imitation. Planes landing next to ships for resupply before heading out again is probably as close to carrier operations as we'll get to for now. The last piece of concept art shows that airfields are going to be world structures, much like seaports and town bases. This means that they're likely going to be fixed, pre-placed structures in the world. They're said to contain two types of hangars. The large hangar acts as a stockpile for aircraft, with planes being stored and spawned from it. Much like what you would do with tanks at a storage depot, but specifically for aircraft and their supporting equipment, such as carts, ladders, and ordnance. Small hangars, in the meantime, are places where smaller aircraft can taxi into to rearm and refuel. Whether this is a designated spot for servicing aircraft or merely a safe place to do so is unclear. Airfields are shown to possibly be structured as a few different layouts. They're supposedly pretty modular in that sense. And much like town bases, they're upgradable structures. Runways where aircraft take off and land seems to be strengthened with every upgrade, suggesting that they are a very much destructible part of an airfield. If that does end up being the case, then I can't wait to see that gameplay loop. Keeping your airfields repaired to launch and rearm your own aircraft while the opposing team does their best to keep your runways disabled with airstrikes of their own sounds intense. I can't wait to cover whatever the Foxhole equivalent of the Battle of Britain ends up being. It'd be like those naval battles where one team is trying to keep a seaport repaired so they can arm and crew gunboats to engage enemy large ships, while of course being under a lot of fire.
Nice, you go, 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 go!
This frantic struggle, but with planes, is an experience that I'm looking forward to.
grab a couple mortar shells and pick a boat.
Hey, can we get some bandages
to walk
in here?
anywhere. Slag, ridiculous.
Bandages, brother, you're not surviving first contact.
Managing our ships, crews, fuel, and ammo was crucial to success.
We're most likely all gonna die.
Oh no.
Gunboat 3!
Airfields look like they're going to be huge parts of the map. They even seem to have space for designated parking lots. Maybe the world of Foxhole will expand again, like the naval update, where 6 new regions were introduced, along with changes to many existing regions to accommodate large ships. Which may have a problem with the suggestion that torpedo bombers are going to be introduced. While I'd love to see a flight of aircraft launching torpedoes at an enemy ship in sync, I hope that those torpedoes aren't as devastating as regular submarine torpedoes, because I'd like to still see the Navy in action. With all this info on airfields, I do want to raise a very important question. Will there be facility airfields? A common meme among the aircraft believers before planes were confirmed for Foxhole was to frequently say, "Do you think planes could work in the game? What if there were facility airfields?" While I couldn't find anything about player-built airfields, I'm really hoping that we can still have makeshift airfields of some sort. Though, if roads stay the way they are, they could essentially become invincible airstrips. And I'm pretty sure that the Foxhole community would instantly make a map for viable highways. I'd love to see a gameplay loop of aircraft taking off from a forward airstrip, dropping their payloads, landing for rearmament, and taking off again. Some Marston mats would be nice. A similar gameplay loop could be seen in Foxhole today. For example, in War 128, when the Wardens repeatedly launched rockets at a Colonial seaport. To keep them supplied, a rocket factory was set up on the island of Fort Ember, which locally sourced some of its inputs from the island itself. A designated zone for firing rockets was set up.
I say those damn savages love our rockets.
Well, off go good old rockets.
More.
And once rocket troops launched their payloads, they would drive back to the facility for a pit crew to rearm them before setting off again.
Hey, if you guys are hitting the seaport.
But every so often, the Colonials would use their enormous array of emplaced rocket artillery to strike the island in return.
Holy shit, that's a lot of damage.
The airfield concept art also showed what appeared to be the Colonial fighter, but since it didn't get a concept art piece of its own, this might just be a placeholder. The devs also touched a little bit more on the flight model, stating, "The experience of flying a plane and aerial combat will be relatively simple. So I don't think we'll have to expect to learn dogfighting techniques like rolling scissors anytime soon, which would be pretty difficult anyway given Foxhole's top-down format." They did say that the Airborne update would basically provide the expected Foxhole experience of combined arms, strategy, and of course, being a cog in the machine. So hopefully flying is a skill that can be picked up easily, and if not, there better be some planes in home region for people to learn how to fly. I can imagine how difficult it would be to even try flying in formation. So, now we maybe sort of confirmed at least 5 or 6 planes in the update. The Colonials have a bomber, a dive bomber, and maybe a fighter, while the Wardens have a fighter and a recon seaplane. And there's probably a faction-neutral transport plane for airborne infantry. At least it better be faction-neutral. The one in the trailer looked a little bit green. But always remember, after the teaser trailer was revealed in a dev stream, the devs stated that those weren't the only planes planned for the update, so don't be concerned about your faction not having a certain plane yet. I like the variety they've shown so far from the teasers and concept art. So here's to hoping that there's more to come. Although, we still have no information at all about how anti-air would work yet, though I'm pretty sure that there has to be some type of AI-based anti-air. Whether that's a dedicated anti-air garrison or howitzer garrisons doubling as flak cannons, we'll just have to wait and see. I, for one, really hope that we can turn the emplaced machine guns upward so that we can shoot at planes. The devs have given us more information about this update than they usually do for any update, which is 0. For example, we got nothing on the naval update until the day we could actually try it out in the dev branch ourselves. But before the airborne update was even revealed a year ago, oh god, it was a year, the devs have been placing some carefully worded content. When they launched the naval update and showcased the concept art, the post stated, "There is a general mood for revisiting, supporting, and reinforcing all the elements of the game going forward. After that, the possibilities are sky high." Of course, this raised the alarm bells for planes, and the devs were quick to tell us not to read too much into that. But a few months after that, Update 56 introduced the Colonial Trident submarine, whose in-game description read, "Much of the Senate criticized Curia for this decision, as they believe it more prudent to invest resources into airborne warfare innovations." And of course, there's been a file titled Aircraft Carrier C in the game for years. However, it's just a grass sprite, probably meant to troll data miners. The last time we heard about the airborne update was last month, when the devs officially stated that current development is focused on completing content and getting to the final stage of the pipeline. So, hopefully, February 2026 is a solid release month, and I guess it's time to stop asking devs for specific planes, cause stuff's probably locked in at this point. I'm still gonna be asking for that aircraft carrier someday. But I gotta say, I have to respect the devs for skipping the holiday sales. I'd rather have a delayed update than a completely broken one. And I can't wait to finally take some revenge on storm cannons. I'm a little tired because 4 of the last 6 videos have been really animation intensive, but it was totally worth it.